Hello, everyone. Today I'm excited to do something completely different with you than what I typically do, right? And this whole thing was inspired by a subscriber I talked to do the CPQ Briefing subscription, and I thought that's probably interesting for more folks. I wanted to make that to a package that's useful for folks who have to decide about CPQ solutions going forward, right? So I've put in a couple of podcast episodes, YouTube videos, and blog posts that all talk about selecting a CPQ solution. And I thought this latest example from the subscriber, how they used AI and how they found and used the briefing subscription was very interesting. That's why I wanted to share it. But I didn't just want to talk about it. I wanted to show you in an example how it goes. And so let me go ahead and I use ChatGPT to go through this and then you see for yourself how that worked. So let me share my screen and you see that I'm in ChatGPT now. So let me go ahead and let's move this a little bit down. And the first thing I would ask is, okay, maybe I have to take a step back here before I get started. So they told me first, and that's very typical for lots of customers, that they identified that they had the problem. They did not have another CPQ solution first, so they had the problem in their case with quote turnaround time. They were quoting a little bit too late and were feeling couldn't get all the deals they could get if they would send their quotes earlier. So that led to some internal discussions, internal meetings until they came up with a CPQ solution. So they went to AI and learned there about CPQ solutions. And now I'm trying to do the same and use something that they may have used, right? So I do not have the exact wording that they use, but I try to imitate that so that you get an idea. So we're a manufacturer and our quote turnaround is too slow um, compared to our competitors. What steps should we take to speed it up? Right. So that was their basically something along these lines, as I think is what they use to learn about CPQ software. So let's see if they come up with CPQ software suggestion over here. And by the way, so that it's not getting too boring, I will cut out all these syncing times from ChatGPT here so that it's going a little bit faster for you. Okay, so now it is back. Get the baseline, map the current steps from RFQ, send quote, triage, non-standard ETO, unblock the bottlenecks you're likely to find, smart enable, bring in CPQ configuration where it pays off, run in parallel. Okay, so I think that's very optimistic. I think it doesn't almost matter which CPQ you have. You will not introduce that in 4 to 10 weeks, most solutions anyway. And in this case, I said I'm a manufacturer. They typically have more complex use case. So, okay, well, you have to take it with a grain of salt, what you're being told here, but nevertheless. So this was brought up that the CPQ software is one potential solution. So then tell me more about CPQ software. Oh, where yeah, let's just see what it says. Okay, now it starts explaining CPQ software. Okay, that will be interesting. It's probably a longer answer. And I understood that they spent quite some time also on AI to look for this information because there was too much information on the different websites from different sources, sometimes contradicting information, right? So that's why I think they were using this. What CPQ is, one line, puts time, quote time for manufacturers, core capabilities to look for, when CPQ is and isn't a fit, data you need ready, implementation patterns that work, KPIs to track common pitfalls and fixes, vendor landscape. Okay, so they provide a lot of information. So in this case, probably more than you will read, but I think what they did then is they were just asking what's the best CPQ vendor for them, right? So what are the best CPQ solutions for my company? And keep in mind, I mentioned before that's a manufacturing company, so let's see what it comes back with. Um, I would expect that it comes back probably with some names of larger companies or firms that were mentioned in large industry analyst reports, right? So because they probably have the most visibility and are probably used most also by these AI. So, but let's see what it comes back with. Because at this point we haven't given it much information, uh, but it already tries to determine what is a good solution for manufacturers. And based on the search, I would expect that it comes back with a lot of recommendations here or lots of information. Okay, it provides a number of names over here. Uh, and by the way, we have almost for all of these, we have the briefing documents. And for the ones where we don't have it, we will have it soon. Margin discipline, pricing, okay. Pros and Vendavo, standardized and Omega suite. SAP Oracle might take based on what your manufacturer need faster turnaround. Okay, and then you could say, okay, either I take what the system tells me as the truth, or I question it. In this case, I would question it because I didn't even provide all the information. Now, given as a customer, you should have probably by this time you should have a list of at least the high level business requirements that led you to the CPQ search. And then when I take that into account and feed AI with it, it may come back with something else. But let's just over here, I assume I need an unbiased resource to tell me a little bit more, right? So where can I find um, an unbiased high level CPQ resource covering multiple vendors to speed up my shortlist creation, um, creation without vendor outreach, right? So I don't want to go to each and every website and find out. I don't want to go through hours and hours of information, right? So I just want to have a quick overview. And that's the question here. How did they come to it? The reason I use that is, again, to give you an example how people found the subscription and how they used it, right? So, and then that will be interesting, I guess. I haven't done it myself, so we will see what it comes up with, right? So, but this is the way I do show you right now that the subscriber used to find the briefing subscription. And they, again, the wording might have been different, but it was something along these ways, along these lines of what they were looking for. So let's see. Here's the fastest. Forrester, sure. It's all the big ones are first always. Um, but you see, there's also the Novus briefing subscription. Okay, excellent. So, and then they were asked, basically, were asking about what do you know about the Novus CPQ briefing subscription, right? So they just want to see what is this about. I guess it is going also to the Novus CPQ website, finding the information about this briefing subscription. Let's go ahead and let's do that and see what it comes back with. Inside, who is it for, how is it effectively used, and so on. Right. So, and then they went obviously to the Novo CPQ site and signed up for that. I'm not going to do that right now. But what they did then is after they signed up and got access to Dropbox, then to access the brief, they were go ahead and said, okay, I want to compare two, three. I have no idea how many they compared. I just use two right now for simplicity purposes, right? So, but they were running a couple of different request on AI and to learn something more about the company. I uh, put in one question right now. What are the key differences between Vendavo, Vendavo and PROS, both pricing companies, right? Um, and what should I pay attention to before I meet with them for a demo? Uh, Meet with them for a demo. I think it was just for that. They didn't talk at the demo at this time. But anyway, so now I attach also the documents over here. See, why does that not work? Okay, now it does the briefing. So I have these published briefings that the subscribers have access to. That's growing right now. It's I think at 19 or so, and it will be much more soon. Anyway, so I'm just uploading the pros and the Vendavo briefing document and basically tell it, okay, once that's available over here, tell me what the differences are and what I should do, what I should pay attention to before I meet with them. Oh, and I should have also asked if it only uses the information from the documents or if it gets something else. I will ask that once the response comes back to see um, how it used these documents. Anyway, that's a use case that subscribers use that I had not necessarily foreseen, but I think is a very interesting use case, and there were others behind it. So I just show you one example of how they used it, right? So, and this was a customer who was looking themselves for CPQ solutions, but there are others. As far as I know, the system integrators and investors who use it a little bit different, but they can use these documents to look for information that they are looking for and obviously find it faster than they otherwise would, right? So now you see pros versus Mondavo, big differences, core center of gravity, configurator depth and scale, all maturity near term roadmap, rebates, commercial programs, architecture, ecosystem, where they are strongest, what probe in your use this as your script or to ask questions. Okay. Uh, okay, so they do that. Interesting. Quick guidance on choosing. Okay, so it provided quite some information. Now, let me just ask if this was put together just on the information from the documents or if it used something else as well. Only the information from the attached. Did you use something else for this last answer? Okay, so I all vendor-specific facts came directly from these documents. No searches or outside source. I did some generic buyer advice. Doesn't demo have an admin based on standard CPQ evaluation practice? Those aren't. If you want, I can highlight the exact passages that right. So I don't need that right now. So I think you get one idea on how it could be used. I think there are probably many more ideas that you have as you go through these documents. What you have to keep in mind here is this is used very early in the process. The first time you look for a solution, that's when you start with the CPQ briefing subscription. From my point of view, obviously, I think you should start your search with that because it is the fastest, has the best information because it's based on 1 hour briefings with each vendor. We uh, want to keep these up to date, obviously, and so you should have good information from the beginning. You obviously need more information, but this is about the beginning of your CPQ search. And as I have said in the descriptions over here, we have a bunch of links to podcast episodes, YouTube episodes, and blog posts. And if you're really seriously interested in searching for CPQ solutions, not spending a fortune on it or spending a ton of time on it, I think that's a good way to start it, at least explore it. I hope this was helpful and gave you some idea on how the CPQ briefing subscription can be used.